pleased to be joined by two very special guests, Lydia Ko and Kai. Lydia, we'll start off with just kind of the year you've had. When you look back on it, what are some of the points in this year that you'll never forget, or some highlights that you stand out this year?
Yeah, going into the year, I knew that the Olympics was probably going to have the biggest star, in my schedule. I started the season off with a bang, winning the HGV Tournament of Champions at my home club at Lake Nona. But then I struggled, from spring to leading up into summer. And I don't think there was a lot of expectations, going into the Olympics, just because I hadn't had many top tens, going into that event. But the Canadian Open, where it's already a special event for me, where I've had my first LPGA win, I was able to get a lot of confidence back, and I think that led to the 3 wins in my 4 starts. So yeah, it's been a special year. Adopted this handsome man at the Mizuho in New York. So it's been awesome, and to be able to share these moments, with my family and my team is honestly been a fairy tale of a season.
And then one more before I open it up to media, to be named for the Heather Farr Perseverance Award, voted on by your peers. How much of an honor does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot, especially because it is voted on by the fellow players on tour. We all go through a lot of things, whether it's golf related or things off the golf course, and to be recognized for the journey that I've had, it's a huge honor. And I personally didn't know Heather, but the stories I've heard about her and the fight that she put on until literally her last breath. I'm very grateful to be able to receive an award under her name, and for me to continuously be able to embrace Heather's spirit and the fight that she put on, her whole life.
Absolutely. We'll open it up. We'll start with Sarah.
Lydia, with this award, you've, I think, won every single award available to anybody at the LPGA, pretty much. When you hear something like that and you think back over the course of your career, was that something you ever expected to accomplish in the time that you've been out on the LPGA Tour?
Definitely not. Even when I go back to my first Canadian Women's Open, I was just excited to be able to play alongside the best female golfers. And as an amateur, we don't get that many opportunities to play on the LPGA and have starts. So it was just a eye-opening experience for me. But then, fast forward another, 13 years, did I think that I was going to win, all of the awards that was possible? No. But, I've had my ups and downs, during my career. Some of the best golf I played, and then, struggled for like 5-6 years, and then become Player of the Year again 7 years later. And it's in ways I wish I had a more consistent career, but I'm still so grateful for all of these experiences, the losses and the wins, and all of those moments build up to make me the player I am today. And there were a lot of tears that was shed, but at the same time, there were a lot of laughter as well, and joy. So I'm just so grateful for the experience, and I know that I'm on the second chapter, past the halfway point. So I'm just excited for what's ahead, and just to say I'm a Hall of Famer in the sport and in the job that I do. Not everybody gets to say that, so I just feel very privileged to be in this position.
And then the last time we saw you at Tiburon, obviously, was with Jason Day and winning the Great Thornton Invitational. How good did that win feel after 2023? And what do you remember about that week that from the golf perspective, that you'll carry with you as you tackle this golf course again?
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed that I wasn't here to defend here at CME Tour Championship. But great that I got to be able to come back to a golf course where I played well at and have a lot of good memories at. And I I knew who Jason Day was and what an incredible player in person he is, but I didn't know him like personally. So it was just a whole new experience. And I played an 18-hole pro-am with a practice round with him on Tuesday. And I played so bad, honestly. I played so bad, and I felt so bad to him that he was playing with me. But when the tournament time came, like, he kept me really relaxed. He asked me a lot of questions, which I was really grateful for, because I was like, wow, why would a player like him that's literally gone through all sorts of experiences, why would he be curious about the way I do things or the way I hit pitch shots? So it's just unbelievable, and to finish off a really difficult year on a high, I think it definitely made the 4-week off season a lot more fun and something to cheer about. And maybe that was a good momentum that led me to winning in Orlando. But I remember I texted Jason and I was like, hey, he congratulated me after Hilton, and I said, hey, thank you for all the good juju, and I'm excited to be able to share the time on the golf course with him again in a few weeks.
Steve?
Lydia, speaking of the Perseverance Award, when you look back on your career, what was the lowest point, and what did you do day to day to try to climb out of that?
It's crazy because it's hard to evaluate where my low points, what score I was shooting or what world ranking I was at, or my mental lows as well. And sometimes I think I was playing some of the best golf, but mentally I was not in not in the place that I am now, where I'm a lot more happier and more comfortable, even whether I shoot 68 or 78. I still get frustrated, but I think then there was more complexity to where I was at with my mental state. I would say looking back, those times were probably the most difficult, because sometimes it's hard to discuss about those things, and we have such a small circle to start off with, and to share the difficult times, it's hard. So it's I don't know if there's a specific year or time, but I would say my mental lows were probably the toughest times for me.
What did you do to get out of that? Was there a process, or was it a routine that you tried to go through?
I started working with my current mental coach a few years ago, and she has been an unbelievable help. And sometimes we talk about private things that are very unrelated to golf, but as much as we try and differentiate, golf and the things that are outside of the golf course, they all kind of blend together. We're one human being with, one brain. We're just, everything kind of melds, and unfortunately, how I perform on the golf course affects me off the course, and vice versa. So, my mental coach, being able to have somebody that I fully trust and I can talk to things about, has been great. And I think she cleared and helped me clear those demons that I had in my head. And the saying of literally you being your worst enemy, it comes from, I think, truth in ways, and I think she has been a huge help for me in that case.
All right, we'll go to Nick for a few, and then Beth Ann.
Lydia, last week, slow play popped up at the tournament. Do you think that's an issue on the LPGA?
I don't know if that's more of an issue on our tour versus other tours. I personally don't have many experiences playing on other tours, but I believe that the rules officials and everybody that sets these guidelines are doing their best, to make it fair for everyone. And nobody, even if you're the biggest golfing fan, nobody wants to be out there for as long as possible. So, but sometimes, like last week, it was a really difficult golf course with fast greens and undulating greens. And even if you're playing well, but some you hit one shot out of position, it's going to take a lot more time than the person that's just hitting the middle of the green and two putt. And even two putts around a golf course like Pelican didn't come easy. So I think, yes, it depends on the situation. U.S. Women's Open tend to take longer because we have a bigger field. It is probably one of the toughest tournaments we play all year. So it just is case by case. I think the slow play topic is talked about on every tour, but I can't say that like our tour is slower than others just because I don't have that experience nor knowledge to back that kind of statement. But I'm sure everybody, whether it's the players or the people that are setting these rules, are doing their best to like get us in there and get us out of there as quick as possible. And I don't think there's a single person out here that's trying to defy that.
Would you have a solution, or do you think the way things are set up now are pretty fair?
I've never really thought about it. Some weeks, yeah, we play a lot faster, but I honestly think the biggest thing is like just the situation. And if it did take longer last week, I think there are two factors. The golf course was tough, and the second thing is there were players that were trying to get their card or work their way into CME. So like all these kind of situations, I think play a factor. It doesn't mean that, oh yes, then you should take longer or you should not be able to take longer, but I just think that those are the variables that you have to take into account when we have longer rounds than maybe usual. I don't know how long we took exactly, but I was lucky enough to be able to serve on the LPGA board and be a player director for 3 years. And I think before that time, I would think things and say things. I was like, why would they make that kind of a decision? But after serving on the board, I realized there's a lot more to it than what we see. And I believe that everybody's doing their best, and as players, we're always going to continuously do better to try and keep up with the pace of play. But I don't know if like one strategy or one way is going to just instantly make a round 30 minutes faster.
All right. Sorry, Nick. Can we go to Beth Ann? Sorry.
I wanted to ask about Kai. You said you got Kai at Mizuho. Can you tell us how that came about?
Yeah, my husband and I had been, Instagram eye shopping, looking at different breeders for months. And I think for him, my husband, he said, sometimes the house feels lonely because, even for me, when I'm at a house alone, it's different from one person to two person, and even when the whole family's there. And I, for a long time, pushed it off and said, hey, I don't think the time is right. Maybe we should do it when I'm a little bit more stable so that, we have at least one kind of full-time stability, routine person. But we met Kai in New York, and I knew he was the only Shiba left in the litter. And at first he hated us because he tried to keep jumping the pen and go away. But after a while, I think he got familiar to our scent and who we were, and he started. I'm not choking up. Yeah. He started playing with my phone charm, as if it was a teething toy, and I think I just got super connected to him. And I remember, but we decided to not adopt him right away. And I remember the rental car return ride, I started crying as I got to the airport because I was like, wow, I'm never gonna be able to see him again. And in my head, I was already calling him Kai. I think his real name was George or something, and he doesn't look like a George anyway. But I started crying in the car as we got to the Newark airport because I was like, I'm never gonna see him again. And then my husband was driving and he was like, oh boy, but he was like, hey, if you really, really think it's the right decision, like we should adopt him. And a little later, we decided to adopt him, and he's been awesome. Questionable at times, but this is the first time I've had like my own dog, and I have a lot of learning experiences through him, patience, and I was like, wow, if it's this difficult with a dog, I wonder what it would be like when you actually have a baby, like a human baby. But he's just so much fun, and he keeps us really active, and I think more prompt with time, which is something that I'm trying to get better at myself. So it's just been great to have another goofy ball of energy, and sometimes I can't keep up with his running pace as he runs away from me, but it's been a great step for us, and I feel like our family just got bigger, and my family and my in-laws, they all love him, so it's really cool that he's part of the Ko Chang family.
From a mental health perspective, did he help you in that way?
I think the first time he actually came to a tournament with me was at the Canadian Open, and I played really well the first couple of days, but the third day I had a mediocre day, finished off with a bogey, and a bogey finish on, any golf course, any situation is not the best place to be at. And I remember I came back to my host family's house, and he was there, and he was like, oh, how was your day? My day was great. That kind of energy that he had towards me. He was just super loving and was excited to see me. I don't get that as much excitement anymore from him when he sees me, but I saw him, and I was like, you know what? There's so much more to life than what I just shot, and there's always tomorrow. And that week was the first time in a long time I traveled by myself too, so it was just great to have company. And yeah, he's honestly been great. And I said this at the Women's Open too, but my husband once asked me an ultimatum, and he said, would you rather win one more major in the future and then not be able to see Kai or not know Kai, or would you rather just have Kai but know that you're never going to win a major anymore? And I was like, you know what, I can still call myself a major champion. I would rather not win a major and have Kai in my life. And at the Women's Open, I realized I have both, so I have the best of both worlds. But yeah, it's been great, a new life in my life, and so many other great things on the golf course. So it's just literally been a year of a fairy tale, and I'm just so grateful for this whole season.
Sorry, Beth. Yep. Sorry, we can go to Amy now for the last two.
Lydia, earlier Nellie was talking about her success this season. She said she felt like it was so easy early in the year. She felt like she had gotten into this flow. How would you describe the state you were able to get your game into with your success this season?
With my game, I think there's no point where it was super easy for me. Yes, I think there are periods where you don't really think about missing cuts, and you're out there trying to shoot the best score you can, and know that the worst score you're going to shoot is going to be X. But I think like I said earlier, the Canadian Open was a big help because I hadn't had a top 10 in almost 2-3 months, and when you kind of get out of the flow, it's really hard to get back into it. When you're starting from zero, you don't really have expectations, but when you start not seeing the results you are expecting, then it's harder because you're almost taking a bigger leap to go towards the direction that you're intending to. But the Canadian Open, leading up to the Canadian Open, I did a lot of good work with my coaches, and I just felt like my ball striking was so much better, and I was seeing the shot shapes that I wanted to see, and it's a fade for me for most cases, and I just felt a lot more comfortable being out there, just aiming left and just knowing that the ball was going to come back right. And so even though like I was not comfortable a month prior. I think it can be like as quick as just one event or one round that puts that confidence back. Never did I think that just because I had a top 10 at the Canadian Open, I was going to win gold in a couple weeks. But that was definitely a big step for me. And, we always say we're trying to peak at those big moments. And I just got fortunate that I literally peaked at those at the right time. But I don't think there's no right or wrong way to do it. But I just got lucky with the timing of things that, the things that I'd worked on for the past couple months were starting to show just before, the big summer stretch in Europe.
Do you feel like with what you've been working on then coming into this week, you're in a position to be able to peak here?
I hope so. I mean, regardless, I love playing in Florida. To finish off the season with 3 events in Florida and twice here at Tiburon is, really special. And yeah, it's I think it, before, not making it into this event last year, I think I took for granted that, I always finish the season at the CME Tour Championship. And I think last year was like, hey, the level of competition is so much higher, and I literally need to work my butt off to make sure that I'm qualified and playing here. And I think my mindset is a bit different, just because I was like, it's not like a automatic I guess entry into this event just because you won the year before. It's a clean slate for everyone at the start of the season to get here. But yeah, it would be great to finish strong for our official season here this week, especially now that I'm a partner with CME. It's always special to be able to play well in front of your sponsors like CME and Rolex for me in this case. So yeah, it would be great to peak here, and I felt like I played a lot more. I had more solid stuff on the weekend last week, so hopefully that translates well and transitions into a few good rounds over the next few days.
All right. Thank you for your time, Lydia.
Thank you. Kai.